Hello, this is Veronica McCulloch doing the video brief for Module 2. First, I'd like to talk about self. How do they align with my experience as a teacher? So, I'm a special ed teacher. I teach functional academics in the 9th through 12th grade, and I really like to foster inclusivity, creating inclusive spaces for my students, valuing varied abilities and backgrounds, ensuring equitable access, understanding diverse backgrounds, and critical thinking, so encouraging empathy and self-awareness with my students. And how do the conceptions presented in the readings regarding the role of the teacher align with my understanding of the goals for multicultural education? Well, my teacher role aligns with the multicultural education goals in general. Inclusivity, promotion. I like to make sure that my students have plenty of time with the general education students. Valuing and celebrating diversity. We talk about this especially in our history classes. We have actually been talking a lot about the different types of cultures in my history class because my students had a lot of questions about that. Advocacy for equity and social justice. If my students have a question about something like that, we typically, we'll watch the news, we can look it up, we can have a conversation about it, but it is my job to remain neutral in this, and making sure I'm not telling them what my opinion is, but still being able to have a conversation. Modeling cultural competence. I believe I do that through discussions that we have together and facilitating critical thinking. We talk a lot about, well, what do you think it's like to live in another country? What do you think it's like to speak a different language? And that kind of thing. Fostering a positive, inclusive, and socially responsible education atmosphere. My students know that they can ask me questions and there will be no judgment, and we will just go over it together. We'll talk about it and see what we can do and what we can think differently about it. Next, I'd like to talk about school. In what ways are good teaching and multicultural education aligned? Well, good teaching and multicultural education share a goal of providing high quality education that respects and values the diversity of students, promotes equity, and fosters critical thinking. They both emphasize creating an inclusive and respectful learning environment where students from various backgrounds have the opportunity to learn and thrive. So, good teaching is just making sure you're an inclusive teacher and that everybody feels included and no one feels left out of the situation. Lastly, I'd like to talk about society. How do the Banks and Banks models fit with your personal perspectives and experiences? Well, like I said, I am a special ed teacher. Therefore, I have a lot of content integration. So, inclusive curriculum for diverse abilities, knowledge construction, so promoting understanding and empathy for others. We do that a lot through social skills and acting out social situations. Prejudice reduction, which is challenging bias and stereotypes. So, empowering a school culture, fostering inclusivity and equity, and aligns with goals of valuing all students. So, all of my students are part of a class family, and they know that everyone is welcome in my classroom. And we talk a lot, especially in history class, about the different types of cultures, what that looks like, sounds like. And if they're really curious, I'll even look it up in a video and we'll have all these conversations. So I try to really make sure that I'm fostering an inclusive classroom.